Here at the Table Church in San Benito. I hope you're having a fantastic Friday. I hope you're looking forward to the weekend. Hope you had a good day so far. We are in Lent, and we are working our way through the book of Job throughout this Lenten season. And Job is fantastic. It's fantastic. It has a lot to say for us in our day and in our time, especially for those of us that have found life to be very difficult these past few days, because Job's life is very difficult. So there's a lot to say. We are in the midst of a series called Faith Without Answers, and I invite you join us on Sunday at 10:30 right here at the Table Church, and we'll be looking at the book of Job again, Job chapter 14 this week, all about faith without answers. Job's not getting any answers. He's having to navigate this without any answers. He's asking for answers. In fact, we're going to be talking a little bit about that this coming Sunday. But Job is saying some things out loud that make us uncomfortable, and that we're not either used to not saying out loud, or we feel like we can't say it out loud. But that's why Job is so valuable for us today. Is this shows us it's okay to say a lot of these things out loud. By the time you get to chapter 3, and that's the chapter we've kind of been looking at throughout this week here, even on the conversations at the table, by the time you get to chapter 3, Job's world is completely fallen apart. And the other thing we find out real quickly is Job is not calm. He is not composed. He's not saying everything's okay. In fact, he's wishing that he hadn't been born. He says he curses the day that he was born. He's trying to undo his birth. He wants his birth completely to be undone. And he's talking in ways in which he wishes it's one of these things that, like, we think about the alternative timeline where he was never here to begin with. Life being completely in the inverse. I mean, so he's not composed. He's not calm. He's not even being a good little Christian when the world collapses. Good little Christians, we also, we whip out Romans 8:20, all things work together for good. Yeah, Job, all things are going to work together here. No. He's not going to make it sound more spiritual than it is. Job is wrecked, and he's angry, and he is directing that anger in chapter 3 and throughout the rest of the book, a lot of it, at God himself. And he's getting specific. He's taking it personally. And the funny thing is, as we read this as lament, that's okay. Because, again, we have been conditioned, we've been trained as Christians. Like, Christians just don't do this. No, they do. Job is full of lament. And it kind of smacks up against the Christian's always going to have it together. The Christian has to have all the answers. In fact, Job is basically saying it's okay to have no answers. We don't have to have all the answers. We don't always have to be right. We don't have to insist on being right. No, it's okay to have no answers. But here's the interesting thing. Not only have we been conditioned to think that lament isn't okay, we're also conditioned to think, and I was taught for a long time, that doubt is sin, and that you shouldn't be doubting, and that you can't be angry at God. The Job, even the Psalms, basically saying, no, this is all okay. It's normal. In fact, we should do this. God wants to hear this from us. Here's the fascinating thing about Job, because Job, I think, he talks about God in ways, Vic, to get to verse 23, he talks about God as putting him in prison. And later he's basically thinking, has God gone missing because God is not answering? He's angry with God. Fascinating thing, though, you cannot be angry with somebody who's not there. You can't accuse somebody that you've stopped believing in. Yeah. You see, we have everything twisted. We have everything twisted in our power Christianity. That we don't do this. No. This actually is an act of faith. He's expressing faith. There is faith there. Jesus said faith can be as small as the grain of a mustard seed, which you can barely see. No, this is faith. Being angry with God, accusing God, and saying, "Hey, God, you're hedging me in." That's the word language he uses. And oh, by the way, God is. We'll get to that in a second. But You can't be angry at somebody who's not there, or you can't be talking to somebody that you don't believe in. He does. And even though God's not answering, Job believes in God enough that he's still going to say it. He's still going to be angry. He's still protesting. In fact, he's protesting heaven's silence. That's what makes this lament so important. It's not evidence of a faith that's going missing. No, that's actually a pretty good faith right there, where you're expressing how you feel. God wants to know how we feel. That's the whole point of Hebrews 4. Jesus went through all these things. He experienced all these things. He felt all these things. And then it says, yet without sin. He doesn't sin like we do when he did it, and he does it. But he still feels it. Yeah. You see, all of this lament is itself an act of faith, an act of trust. It's not unbelief. Don't be kicking yourself if you've all of a sudden something goes wrong and all of a sudden you're feeling angry at God and you're not getting answers. Because in that moment, you're also expressing faith. Faith that he's listening. Faith that he really does care, even though it doesn't seem like he cares in the moment. It's faith, it's wounded faith, it's broken faith, but it's still faith nonetheless. And I think a lot of us have been taught to think that real faith doesn't talk like Job, and I think that's the point of Job. It's the point of the Psalms. And here's the thing. God eventually is going to speak. God eventually is going to speak. He's going to answer Job. But Job is still hanging on to, even though God is not answering, he's still hanging on to God. He's hanging on to a promise. You see, faith lays hold of Jesus, not by trying to get better, not by showing how strong we are, or even trying to come up with the strength. But faith lays hold of Jesus simply by receiving him where he says he's going to be. It's in his word and his sacrament. Faith just lays hold of Jesus the way he comes to us. And oh, by the way, we find out that Jesus is always holding on to us. That goes back to, God, you're hedging me in, Job says. He says God's hedging him in. And you know what? It's not a prison, but God is hedging him in. We've talked about this already. It is. God has him. Jesus always has a hold of you. Even when life is turned upside down, even when the world collapses, Jesus still has a hold of you. Even when faith feels thin, when faith goes missing, and I get the texts, I get the phone calls. I don't feel like I've got any faith. My faith has gone missing. I'm not being very, and that's the other thing. I'm not being very faithful right now, which now is coming into the behavior part of all this. You know what? It's okay. Jesus still has hold of you. Jesus still has hold of me. He's constantly surrounding us with his love, with his mercy, with his grace. He hasn't stopped loving you. He hasn't stopped holding you. He has you by both of his arms. The arms that died for you. He has you. He has me. Jesus is always holding you. He's always your hedge, just like he was always Job's hedge. So, yeah, life goes bad. Bad things are happening. Tell God about it. Also tell, find a trusted friend, confide in them as well. Don't hold all of this in. But it's okay to talk to God. It's okay. He's listening. He cares. He still loves you. Jesus still has a hold of you. And by the way, you want to know one of those little things that Jesus does for us, how we kind of know that he still holds of us? Because we're talking to him. Would you be talking to Jesus if he didn't have hold of you? Probably not. Because that's what Jesus does for us. So, that is our conversation at the table for this Friday. And I can't wait until Sunday. Sunday, we're having a baptism here. It's going to be great. Little Bo. Little Bo. Bo, I love the pictures on Facebook. You should look it up. Look up Joel Chavez. Yeah. Yeah. Joel Spade's got lots of pictures. It's great. So Bo's baptism is on Sunday. And we're going to celebrate. We're going to celebrate Jesus. Because Jesus has a hold of Bo. Jesus has a hold of you. So until then, remember this, that Jesus always, always, always has a hold of you because he unconditionally, unstoppably, and absolutely loves you.